Come and dream with me.
Hello, welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content, help you answer the question, how much of the No Way Home footage is going to leak before the movie actually comes out? Like 50%? 60%? 70%? I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to jump in there or like it was just done for effect. So all is this still the leaked pictures and whatnot, or has something else happened?
Well, I saw multiple things relating to it leaking, like trending and stuff. Like Charlie Cox has been trending a lot, and Daredevil, and yeah.
I'm not. I see all the hashtags, and I'm just like, I'm out.
Listen,
I ain't looking at it.
We know for a fact Wednesday they've got there's a fan event happening on Tuesday over in America. So I assume after that we'll get a new trailer, which apparently will spoil the entire movie. But whatever.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I will say the MCU Spidey fans are maybe the most demanding fans of all.
I know. I want to see trailers, but I don't want to be spoiled. Don't show me anything, but show me everything.
And I want it now. It's like,
and I want the movie out yesterday.
It's like these Spider-Man movies have been out the most frequent of any of the Marvel content. When you think about it, yeah, there's been like 2 years between each of the films.
Ridiculous.
Yes. On today's episode of What Do You Want to Watch, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history. We'll be covering some news. We'll be giving some thumbs to trailers, and we'll talk about this week's top 3. Let's talk about some things that we've got some content for already here at the Explosion Network. No Time to Die, the latest James Bond film, the final film starring Daniel Craig, was finally released here in Australia. We've got a spoiler cast up on this podcast feed. Of course, if you've gone back and watched each of the James Bond films leading up to No Time to Die, you can go listen to our Road to No Time to Die, where we discuss each of the films in Daniel Craig's era as James Bond. But Dylan, what are your non-spoilery thoughts of No Time to Die?
Non-spoilery thoughts. So obviously we recorded the spoiler cast the night after watching it. It's now been a few more days. I still feel exactly the same, which is that it's a pretty darn good movie with a very disappointing villain, and that's sort of the only disappointing factor in it. It redeems a lot of my complaints about the previous film. It has a really satisfying ending. It has a lot of my favorite stuff about the Daniel Craig era, which is more to do with Bond as a person and a character and like what motivates him more so than just, spy espionage, like license to kill, blah, 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 and on top of that, it also mixes in some stuff that some people had complained about the franchise, which is not enough gadgets or, Bond spy tech stuff. You've got a bit more, of that sort of stuff in here. And I think it melds it all pretty well. So I'm still happy putting it at my second place in my Bond rankings. Of course, maybe they'll change on a rewatch. Maybe it'll drop down to third and Casino Royale would pop back up to second place. Skyfall at the top. But currently, second favorite, I think, of the bunch.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, great ending for Daniel Craig's run as the character. Like it definitely feels like the conclusion of the character arc that we have seen over the 5 films. Again, redeemed the relationship between Bond and Madeline Swan that nobody particularly liked from Spectre, although there was very little to like from Spectre. And yeah, clearly like Rami Malek. Good actor, given barely anything to do in this film. No motivations or barely any of those cool like scene stealing monologues. But yeah, I mean, there was some cool action. But yeah, it's definitely more of a story, like an emotional story, which is surprising from a Bond film. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Of course, you can, after you watch the film, go check out our spoiler cast on this podcast feed. The Eternals, the latest MCU film, came out. a couple of days after our last podcast. But of course, again, you can listen to our full spoiler-filled thoughts over on All New Marvelcast, where we did a spoilercast over there. But Dylan, how do you feel about Eternals?
This is not a good movie. It was a big disappointment. In the days since recording that spoiler cast, my thoughts have not changed either. That movie is a mess with too many characters. Not enough time to give any of them really satisfying arcs. And all in all, you're left sort of intrigued by a couple characters, but never really feeling like you get at all close to enough time to really explore them. It really feels like a movie that, even at nearly 3 hours or however long, should have been like 5-6 hours to really get anywhere. And then at that point, you're just going, well, maybe this should have been a Disney Plus series or something. And I know maybe they're like, well, because you don't really get the argument these days of like budget, money. We've just had like all these Disney Plus shows that look as good as and have as much money put into them. So I don't really think that's an argument now. This doesn't really work in a movie with this many characters, in my opinion. So, yeah, my rating was a 5, and I think, and that's probably where I'm sitting at now, 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I liked it a little bit more than Dylan did. I think there's cool elements, good scenes, good acting, but the story is kind of meandering and like, yeah, it just tried to. It feels overstuffed and trying to do too much. Obviously, it's quite long. Obviously, in trying to introduce a brand new set of characters to the MCU, explaining why they fit in and why they're important. Yeah, and the story is just kind of. I think the scope of the story is like massive, and like it involves a world-ending event, and like it might have been like too much for one film, which is like you said. Maybe they should have spaced it out. Maybe TV series or multiple movies or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's an interesting movie in the MCU canon, I think. Obviously introducing a bunch of characters, very cool, diverse characters. Loved Kumail. I loved Brian Tyree Henry. Jimmy Chan was quite good. Richard Madden did stuff. He's pretty much Superman in this film. It's hard to like fault the actors when it's like it definitely feels like it's story or script issue. It's
just a script problem. Like it's a core movie problem. I don't think any of the acting's bad.
Yeah. Eternals. I feel like I wouldn't say don't go see it, but I think it's definitely one that I feel like everybody has very mixed opinions on at the moment, so I don't think it's something you need to rush out and see in the cinema, although there are scenes that are like, they'd be really cool to see on the big screen, so it's like, it's a weird one, more than anything else. It's like, maybe don't follow other people's advice, check it out for yourself and make your own mind up about how you feel about the film. Yeah, so that's Eternals. So I was fortunate enough to go to an advanced screening of Dune, the latest film from Denis Villeneuve, starring like Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, a whole bunch of big celebrities, obviously based on the 19...
Big celebrities. Big actors? I mean...
big actors, I mean, I think they're both, right? They come
Women's Weekly over here. These big celebrities star in this movie.
Obviously based on the 1965 novel by Frank Herbert. Obviously, if you know anything about Dune, you probably know that it's been a notoriously difficult thing to adapt. You've got the 1984 David Lynch film, which stars Kyle MacLachlan, who coincidentally was in the cinema when I was watching it. He must be here in Brisbane, like filming something. So he was in attendance.
He's been posting videos on Twitter. I know, like, the past maybe 6 months. I think he's been here for a little while.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. Like, I obviously went with Buddy, and, like, he was, like, a couple of rows to the right of us or whatever, so that was kind of weird. But, yeah, obviously, Dune. I've never read Dune. Never watched any of the Dune. Neither watched the movie nor the miniseries. So I apologize for my description of the movie I'm about to give follows Paul Atreides, who's the son of the head of the House of Atreides, played by Oscar Isaac. He is also the son of a a member of the Ben Gesserit, which is like a secret consortium of like women who have special voice powers that make people compelled to do what you tell them to. But they like kind of work in this space empire behind the scenes, kind of running things, or like to think they're running things, while the Emperor kind of is actually running stuff. So House Atreides is put in charge of the planet of Arrakis, which is a harsh desert planet, but it contains a super valuable resource called spice, which is used to help with the navigation of spaceships with hyperspace. So it's like very important, but the natives of the planet, like it's very sacred element to them. So they kind of have been at odds with the previous stewards of the planet. But yeah, so it's them moving to the planet, and events happen. I don't want to get too much into it. I really enjoy the film. It is very much a slow burn. I don't think it's not like action packed or super fast paced. The trailer doesn't really do it much service. I feel like people watch that and go into it are going to end up a bit very disappointed. It definitely feels like a book adaptation. Like you can kind of see the chapter points, or like the certain stories that were for various chapters and that kind of stuff in the story. It is definitely a part one. Even the title screen for the movie says Dune Part 1. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that was even with the original release in America. Yeah, not just here, and not just after they've actually got greenlit for Part 2. Which
putting
does
positive vibes out there, Like I will get Part 2. It will do money at the cinema.
I mean, you could technically would still be Part 1, so it's not a lie.
There was never Part 2.
Yeah, it works. Obviously there's the massive events of the film. It definitely feels, the ending reminded me most of Fellowship of the Ring. Like obviously we get used to these movies being split up and they're setting it up for a sequel and that kind of things. It definitely ends at a point where you're like, oh, we've had this cool journey so far, and there is still more story to come, but it had a satisfying ending in my opinion. But it wasn't a conclusion. It was just yeah, we're going to do more stuff. You know what I mean? Everybody in the cast is really great. Rebecca Ferguson continues to be one of those underrated actresses, especially in action films. Obviously, we all know and love her from the Mission Impossible films, and she's great here. Probably given more acting range. She plays Paul's mother, of course. Paul, played by Timothée Chalamet. He's great. Really enjoy him. Jason Momoa is really great in this film as Duncan, who's the big soldier. Well, he's a pretty great soldier in the film. Shockingly, Jason Momoa cast as a great swordsman. Kind of weird. Yeah, everybody's great. Oscar Isaac is fantastic. Yeah, I'm definitely keen for Part 2. When that comes in 3 to 4 years, it looks visually stunning, even though it's full of it's just deserts for the most part. Most of the film still looks incredible. Yeah, I obviously coming out December 2nd, so there's a bit of a wait. Hopefully I'll have a review up before that. I should have someone up this week. But yeah, Dune out in cinemas December 2nd. Go check it out. Definitely don't pirate it, I think. I would see it on the big screen if you can, for the first time, if you have a choice. Dylan, you went down and checked the Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark.
I did. I was trying to. I'm just getting up, so I'm going to forget the actor's name. I want to talk about it. So, all right, Many Saints of Newark. Yeah, so it's a weird one because obviously it's promoted as a prequel, an origin story for Tony Soprano, and it kinda is, but really the movie is, as the poster says, and maybe it's just been in front of my face this whole time and I haven't been really clicking onto it. The main poster they've had going around says, "Who made Tony Soprano?" And it has a picture of the character Dicky Moltisanti, which is played by Alessandro Nivolia, who's the main character. And the movie is about him. So the movie is about Tony Soprano's uncle, and who was a big inspiration, a big part of Tony's life growing up. And the movie is just solely about him. There's parts where, like, the movie starts with Tony's a kid, like a real young kid, and then there is a slight time skip at one point, but like there's a big chunk of maybe 30-40 minutes where you don't see Tony at all, even as a kid. And the movie, it's a weird one because there's definitely references to The Sopranos, but I do feel like you could nearly watch this without having watched The Sopranos. The only thing I would say is that the ending, much like the finale of Sopranos itself, kind of comes out of nowhere. And if you watch this without being aware that there's actually a TV show to come next, the ending just comes up and you'd be like, well, what happens next? And then it's like, well, there's a TV show, so go watch that to find out what happens next. But from that side, it's kind of weird. But yeah, there's lots of really interesting ideas in here, and I really hope they actually do a sequel. And not doing the sequels to the TV show, but like a sequel that actually follows a lot of new characters in this that we don't really get to see in the TV show or don't know much about, again, their sort of years as a younger person. So you have this character like the movie, weirdly, I didn't expect it, actually delves a lot into like racial relations in this time period of America, because I guess it's set in like it goes up to like, I think it ends in the late 70s or something like that. So it like starts in like early 60s or something. I can't remember, like something around that. And it really starts, like, one of the main characters is played by Leslie Odom Jr., who I guess a lot of people would know from, is he most famous from like Hamilton, I think? Yeah.
Yep.
And then he did, what was that movie with, hold on. One Night in Miami. Yeah. So he's like really good in this, and he plays basically someone who's working for like I can't remember the official name of like the crime family that Tony Soprano ends up like sort of being, but like the Italian mob, I guess, or whatever. But there's like some weird race relations there where they're like quite happy to have him on that level, but then, they're all sort of super racist. And even there's a scene, so like Tony Soprano's dad, Johnny Soprano, is played by John Bernthal and he is like super racist. And they have like a very racist scene from him. That's like comes out of nowhere nearly. He's really good in this though, other than playing a shitty character. Vera Farmiga plays Tony's mother, and she has like a nose cast thing on, which is quite interesting to watch, but they're trying to make her look like a younger version of I can't remember the actress, but who plays Tony's mother in the TV show, because obviously it's an older lady then. And even like Corey Stoll plays Junior Soprano, which is his one of his other uncles, and he's like, they don't really try to make him look too much like the person who plays him in the TV show, but they always make sure he has the same glasses, but he certainly acts with the same sort of attitude, and you get an idea of what causes him to become such a asshole, especially if you've watched The Sopranos and like the first couple seasons arc for that character, and what he sort of does to Tony. You sort of see that growing here to what sort of person he is. Ray Liotta gets to play two characters in this, which is quite interesting. Two brothers, so you get to see him put his acting chops to a little bit of use here, which was interesting. And one's like very outlandish, and the other one's a little bit more quieter or whatever, so that's quite good. But yeah, it's also bookended by what's the actor's name? Michael Imperolia, I think that's how you say his name. Yeah, who obviously plays Christopher in the TV show. One of the main characters, until spoilers, he's killed by Tony. But the show starts with like this camera show. The movie starts with this camera sort of rolling through a graveyard with him doing voiceover, saying like, setting up the movie, being like explaining the type of person Tony was, and like it ends with him like. And then because he's like, he's Tony's cousin or whatever. Yeah. So he's like, and then my cousin, he choked me to death here or whatever. And it like flashes back to Tony as this sort of sweet kid, very much being like, well, how does this sweet kid go to being this hard ass who ends up running a crime family? sort of in secret for years. And yeah, but the star of the movie is Alessandro Nivoli, or however you say his name, which I'm butchering. But he's really, really good. I think he's the standout. I didn't know much about him. I had to Google him because I was like, who is this person? Apparently he's like a big on stage. Like he sort of does a lot of stage stuff and he's quite renowned there. But I haven't really seen him in much, or like he's been in things I would have seen, but not like the starring role. So maybe I just don't remember him for that. But he is really, really good in this. Like, and even if you have never watched The Sopranos, I would say it's worth watching just for him in this, because especially if you do like sort of mob movies, if that's like a genre you're into. And yeah, I feel like you could watch this, be left with some questions, and go, maybe now's the time I'd like to watch The Sopranos. Or, you know, I see people downvoting it, and the people getting angry, like the people who are Sopranos fans, because they wanted more of a like straight up, very typical Hollywood prequel movie where it carries you through every year right up until Tony is like an adult or whatever, like right up until the movie. But this isn't what this movie is. Like, it's about a different character, and you get to see decisions that shape Tony. And I don't know if this is like a big spoiler. Skip ahead like 30 seconds if you don't want to say it. But I don't think this is a big spoiler. But like when the movie ends, it has a scene, and then it has like the Sopranos theme song like slowly start fading in the background. And as I was like sitting in the cinema, I couldn't help I was just like feeling a bit like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, cause it like fades in, it's like, and it like cuts to credits, whatever, and the music kicks full in. I'm like, yeah, fucking, now I watch this. Oh, now I feel like watching Sopranos, but yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I think I gave it like an 8 or something like that, on Trakt or whatever. And that's kind of where I'll be. It's very well acted, shot well. The only negative is it does leave a lot of plot points unanswered, and I don't just mean ones that are answered in the TV show. I mean like Leslie Odom Jr.'s character is left with like, what happens to him? Like, I would like to see a sequel for him. I would like to see a sequel to see some like Ray Liotta's characters explored more. I'd like to see even the characters who come back, like Corey Stoll's Junior Soprano. Like, I feel like there's enough there. Like, because it has a big thing that happens with his character at the end of this. I'm like, well, how does he keep that a secret for so long, sort of thing? So maybe they'll do another one of these. I'll be down. Do it.
Cool. I noticed that we both watched, of course, we'll talk about Disney Plus Day later, but Shang-Chi dropped on Disney Plus, and we both watched it in the first 48 hours it was released. I think I liked it more this time. I think maybe, I don't know. I just, I just felt compelled to watch it as soon as it was available. Like, it was really great. I appreciate it. I don't think the pacing was as much of an issue for me on this rewatch that it was the first time. I was like, obviously, I was expecting the training montage, kind of slow pace of the fantasy world that they kind of go to and that kind of thing. Yeah, what do you think? Did your opinions kind of change on the film, or?
I can't remember what my critiques was. All I know is, all I remember is that we were positive on it, and I'm still positive on it. I don't remember what my critiques were, to be honest, really. But I still really enjoyed it. I think this is like, it's not. I think I said something similar in our spoilercast or maybe on here, but like, it's not as good as Black Panther, but it gives me the same feeling as watching that, which is that it's a very un-Marvel feeling universe, aside from like an after credit scene, spoilers that ties things in, and like one character who's like a very, like, you'll have to get the reference, I guess. Like, even then, it's not like a big MCU like crossover character or anything. Like, it feels very much its own contained universe with a bunch of its own ideas and mythology and all this. Like, you can just exist on its own. It doesn't feel like you're watching season 5 episode 26 of the MCU. It just feels fresh and exciting, and the acting's really good, and it's funny, and you've actually got fight choreography, which is great, and the music's awesome. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I even rewatched that bus fight, waiting for you to show up before we start podcasting today.
Bus fight's awesome.
The bus fight is awesome. Although one thing, we'll mention, I saw, if you haven't read the thread of an actual bus driver doing a breakdown of of the bus scene, You should check it out on Twitter. But did you notice that obviously the subtitles were different? So, just the black on white design of the subtitles, I'm pretty sure is different to what we saw in the actual cinemas. Which I could just assume is they've got one version of the film with no subtitles at all, like no encoded subtitles across the board, and then they just, depending on what language we're using, they just chuck in the relevant subtitles. So, I don't know. Yeah, it just kind of distracted me for a little bit because I could have sworn it was just like white text on like whatever background it was when we saw it in cinemas, but. No, maybe that was just me.
I do not remember. I have no clue. You could be right. I don't remember.
If you know for sure, let me know. If you just watched it in cinemas and then go and watch it on Disney Plus, yeah, do that. Also, I want to shout out the behind the scenes documentary, The Making of Shang-Chi. That was a really fun watch. Even just to see the enthusiasm and joy that all the members in the crew and cast have for the film. And for each other and that kind of stuff. And they kind of discussed like the break that they had to take because of COVID. And yeah, even just breaking down that how they did that bus fight. Because did you know that they like strung it up on like strings, the actual bus? No, nope. I did like, I heard like I listened to the director, Justin Daniel Creighton, on the director's podcast, whatever that one's called. Yeah. Explaining how they actually shot that, and they had to like shoot it. They had to rig it up so they could like blue screen, obviously, everything around the bus. So it was like physically up in the air, so you get the bus members and everything right. Yeah, it's a cool watch. Even just like seeing Simu like pull off some of the moves he does, and like the growth from his original announcement of his casting to him, like after his training and everything, actually being able to do some of the martial arts stuff. It's like. Very impressive. Then the only other thing I'll mention before we jumped into the Netflix segment, I checked. They've released as part of Disney Plus is Olaf Presents, which is, you know how Olaf in the film Frozen 2 explains the plot of Frozen 1? He does that with other movies. Oh. It's a bunch of enjoyable short films. I think it's like 15 minutes to knock out all 5. So it's like Little Mermaid, Lion King, Aladdin, Tangled, and...
You replace Forky. He gets the short film treatment now.
Everybody's getting the short film treatment, so I can't remember what the 4th film is. Clearly not important. Oh, Moana. That was the other one.
Oh.
But yeah, super enjoyable, very cute. If you got a spare 15-20 minutes, check it out. All right, let's jump into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Kick things off. We've been discussing Arcane. We've got a couple of spoiler casts already up on the podcast feed, but Dylan, obviously, long-time League of Legends fan. How are you feeling about Arcane, League of Legends' first foray into television?
Would you actually call me on the thing? Long time League of Legends.
A reformed League of Legends addict.
There we go. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I think it's definitely one of my favorite sort of, I think it's one of my favorite things. I don't have there are like some problems with it, but like just from an enjoyment factor, I think it's one of my favorite Netflix series that they've released this year. Like I just like, oh, I want more. And now I'm straight away like, they've sold me on the idea of that, like Riot and Netflix teaming up to do animated League of Legends stuff. So now I'm just like, yes, more please. I don't like. Let's do all the characters.
They enough.
Let's do the whole. They've got over fucking 150 billion characters to do. So yeah, I'm really obviously as of now we're 2/3 of the way through. We got the last 3 episodes this coming Friday. That's really exciting, but then it's over, which is really disappointing. But yeah, I mean I really like the animation. Just the stylization and everything like that is really cool. I really like the way they do it with the way they integrate music. Like there was that moment, I think it's in episode 5 or whatever, where they literally just have people Like it's like a music video, like in the middle of the episode for some reason. But
They just threw Imagine Dragons in there.
yeah, they throw Imagine Dragons like as characters into the League of Legends.
Well, they
universe.
animated them for like a video for Worlds, and then for the video of the music clip. So they just use some of that in the actual series.
Yeah. They're just part of the franchise now.
Yeah,
and I don't even like Imagine Dragons, but
look forward to playing as Imagine Dragons sometime in the future in League of Legends.
It's not like I love their music. I just think it's kind of cool the way it's worked in. But yeah, I think the thing that makes it work and makes the show so interesting is that no, you don't need to be a League of Legends like game fan to enjoy it because Ash certainly isn't. You don't even need to be like an anime weeb fan or whatever. Like because it's not very anime weeby in my opinion. Like it's just an animated show. It's not like aimed at anime fans. It's just that the characters are really interesting and the world is really interesting with this whole, upper class that's trying to push forward in scientists, and then they kind of forget about basically the slums and all these people get left behind in poverty, and then these like gangs rise up, and there's you get to see how there's different growth of people experimenting with different sorts of technology in both the high and low ends of Piltover here, and you get to see how characters are pushed in different directions to make decisions, both from people working their way up through the slums and what they deal with, and then you also get to see the sort of political goings on with characters literally like making decisions and what to be done and all this sort of stuff. And I think that's like the core reason that the show works and why most people would be enjoying it so much at the moment is because the characters are interesting and there is emotional drive and trauma and all these other really things that maybe you wouldn't expect in a show like this, especially be like, oh, it's supposed to be a video game, a fucking MOBA. Like, how do you get this out of that? But yeah, I think it's really, really good.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the series as well. Like you said, you don't really need to know much about League of Legends to enjoy the world and the story that they're telling. Obviously, it's just at its core is like the story of these two sisters. Sure, there's all these other stuff added in around it, but these two sisters that fall apart and then try and come back together. I guess potentially, I'm not sure how it's going to end. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's like cool animation style. Cool story, lots of interesting threads and characters, interesting world, good action, ticks all the boxes pretty much. So yeah, check out Arcane and then listen to our spoiler casts for each 3-episode act on this podcast feed. I watched The Harder They Fall, a film that we've talked about in various ways over the last year or so. This movie is so cool. Everybody in this movie looks cool, acts cool, the music's so cool. It's pretty fantastic. This is a revisionist western starring Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Zazie Beetz, Regina King, Delroy Lindo, Lakeith Stanfield, stacked cast. Pretty much, Jonathan Majors plays Nat Love, who as a child was had his parents killed in front of him by Idris Elba's character Rufus Black, and in the years since he's turned into an outlaw, wanting to find Rufus Black and get his revenge, but also setting up his gang's MO of stealing from bank robbers. So they rob a bank and then he robs the bank robbers. That's their MO. So, he's deciding maybe he wants to get out of this life. He'll never get his revenge. And then, Rufus manages to be released from incarceration, and, one more chance comes up to get his revenge. Great soundtrack. Great casting across the board. Like I said, it's just a cool movie. That's the word that keeps coming to mind whenever I think about it. Yeah, beautifully shot. There's like a couple of weird special effects and like shots and that kind of stuff, but like for the most part, it's like pretty fantastic. So yeah, I would definitely say watch The Harder They Fall on Netflix as soon as possible. All right, so I also checked out Army of Thieves. So this is the prequel spin-off film to Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. It follows Ludwig Dieter, who is originally called Sebastian's Schledich Orwinut, who starts off as a YouTube safecracker who posts videos on YouTube, but then soon gets wrangled into a international bank robbery crew to crack these infamous safes, intricate safes created. Don't have the name of the creator, but they're like really intricate and beautiful and like really difficult to crack. It's your standard heist film. It's definitely not a Zack Snyder film, that's for sure, even though it's set in the same world. Directed by Matthias Schweighöfer, I want to say is the correct pronunciation, who also plays Sebastian. He's fantastic. Obviously, he was one of the highlights of Army of the Dead, so if you liked him, odds are you'll probably like this film. Because again, it's like that character, probably even more nerdy and self-assured. So there's a lot to like there. Natalie Emmanuel from Game of Thrones and Fast and Furious fames, fantastic as well. Rubio Fee plays the hacker girl. She's fantastic and is a great, really fun character as well. And then you've got Stuart Martin, who plays Brad Cage, a guy who's tried to make himself an action hero as part of the team and that kind of stuff. And he's got, you know how that's going to go based on his ego and that kind of stuff. So Army of Thieves doesn't do anything super fantastic, but it's like super enjoyable and like a dumb action heist movie. I will say some of the heists are quite clever to a certain degree, and that's kind of what you want from that genre. I feel like it's like that's a cool way to pull off this heist. So that's also on Netflix now. I also watched Love Hard. So this is the first one of the Netflix Christmas movies that are coming out, starring Nina Dobrev and Jimmy O Yang, in which Nina Dobrev plays Natalie, a columnist who has an infamous history of going on bad dates. She matches on a dating app with Josh, played by Jimmy O Yang, but guess what? Josh is catfishing her. It's not his actual photo, and she decides for Christmas she's going to travel across the country to meet him for the first time, and then it turns out, oh no, it's not him, the same person in the dating profile, and then she agrees to stay with him through Christmas to,
Why would you agree to that?
Keep her parents happy.
Like, after all that, you'd be like, this guy's a sicko.
One, to keep her parents happy, and also two, the actual person from the profile picture is a person in town that he's taken pictures of, and Josh agrees to set her up with him.
So, the plot of the movie is that she then realizes she loves him for his personality and the good-looking picture guy's and a douche, right?
I mean, yeah, kind of.
So,
it's also like, she maybe starts catfishing him. He's like a guy who likes climbing and extreme sports, and she does not. But she just pretends to be into that kind of stuff to hook up with him and that kind of stuff. So it's all these degrees of catfishing. It's fine. It's like, of course, the messaging in the movie is not fantastic, but I feel like Jimmy O Yang is quite good-natured and like funny and stuff. So it kind of takes the edge off of that. You know what I mean? It's like, if he was more of a douche, it would be harder to accept. But also, she's got a bunch of baggage and like trauma, and like she's never been a person to love anybody. So why not? I guess is the point. So Love Hard. Check. I don't know if you're into dumb Christmas movies, and it's like Netflix has a gazillion of them every year.
Nah, don't think I will.
I know. I like Jimmy O Yang, so I thought it was worth a try. Yeah. And then I also watched Big Mouth Season 5. It's more Big Mouth. More kids growing up dealing with their problems. This year, they introduced love bugs, which are the bugs that, teach the kids about love and feelings and kind of help them express themselves and that kind of stuff, which goes poorly. But also hate snakes, which are snakes that, drive you to be hateful and mean. When you say it like that, it's like... doesn't sound as smart as it
I love
actually
just the writing room of this show. They're like, all right, hate snakes. And what is it? They're snakes that drive you to be hateful.
Yeah.
It's in season 5.
Here's the best part. It's, which one is it? I think it's Nick. Yeah, Nick's, Nick gets rejected, and gets super upset. And so his love bug turns into a hate snake.
Oh.
He dies and turns into a hate snake. So, that's how that happens. Yeah. If you love Big Mouth, there's more of that. It's like, they even have a holiday special, which is graphic.
Graphic?
Yeah. There's one of for the holiday special, it's like a bunch of short stories and that kind of stuff. And one of the short stories is, Santa and all the elves at Christmas at the North Pole. And one of the elves walks in on Santa with Mrs. Claus having sex. And so the elves obviously had never been taught about sex previous, and then proceed to have sex all over the North Pole.
All over the place. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so good times. So yeah, Big Mouth, check that out. And that's everything I watched history. Let's move into some film news, and really there was only one massive story, and kind of a non-story. Disney Plus Day happened. Dylan, how much news did you actually see about Disney Plus Day?
I scrolled the Disney Plus Twitter thread where they tagged Will Smith, the wrong Will Smith in all the tweets.
They tagged the wrong Will Smith and Patrick Dempsey on every single tweet. Yeah, I will say right off the bat, this was poorly done. Why wouldn't you just do some sort of presentation? It's like, why are you just making it some sort of Twitter thread?
I don't have the money for that.
It's not like you've got some sort of service that you can chuck some sort of presentation on. Interesting also that a lot of the footage, the new released footage, was actually on Disney Plus. So you actually had to be a subscriber to watch trailers for certain stuff. And
I watched both those actually, the Marvel one and the Pixar one. Yeah, I watched both those. Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of weird that that wasn't readily available when that would be like a selling point to people to subscribe to Disney Plus.
Do you want to see some footage of Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight? Boom.
Subscribe.
Go to Disney Plus. Yeah.
$1, please. No, $2, I think, is the current deal for the first
cheap,
month.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, that's not terrible. Like $2 to watch Oscar Isaac. Alright. Let's go over some of the announcements. Obviously, they put up a short featurette talking about Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, talking with Ewan McGregor and Deborah Chow, obviously director, some concept art. Kind of disappointed there was a trailer. We were kind of building it up that they obviously put out the Book of Boba Fett trailer a couple of weeks ago. That must be setting up because they're going to put an Obi-Wan trailer out. Disney Plus Day. Disney Plus Day, that's the day we're going to get a first look at Obi-Wan. Nope.
What a letdown. I was ready to wake up and get excited, and I just got this instead. Like, the only cool thing in that concept art is like it shows a ship with what looks like the ninth sister coming out of it, which is cool, but I guess like for fans of Jedi Fallen Order, there's your crossover. But otherwise, cool. I'm excited already. Ewan McGregor's like, I'm really excited to be working with Hayden Christensen again. We're gonna do a rematch. Ring the bell, ding ding ding. Yes, please. Yeah, I just need a trailer.
Yeah, give us something. We already know there's so many people in the cast, and yet the only person we've seen
We haven't seen anyone. We haven't seen anyone in costume. Like, actually. No.
Yeah. It's an odd one. Yeah. But, yeah. We also
stay tuned to Holocron Entries, where we will discuss the trailer when it actually releases.
Yeah. When it actually releases. They also put out like a 20-minute documentary of the history of Boba Fett called Under the Helmet: The Legacy of Boba Fett. Watched it. It's like kind of explaining to a certain degree the fandom behind Boba Fett, but without actually explaining why people cared about this character who was only in the thing for 6 minutes. Yeah, I mean,
like
it's cool.
A YouTube video that I may or may not watch.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a YouTube video. There's some cool interviews, like they bring back the kid who was Boba Fett in the prequels and like talk to him about his experience and that kind of thing. And he does like a spot on Timur Morrison, or at least a Kiwi accent. I assume he was also.
Is the kid not a Kiwi?
Yeah, but it sounds like Timur.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that was cool. Yeah, so that was kind of it for the Star Wars stuff. You know, we've got all these properties we know about, nothing about Cassian, nothing about any of the others. Well, I guess Rangers obviously got shut down, so that nothing to talk about there, but yeah. So little for Star Wars fans. Yeah. Over on the Marvel front, we got a bunch of...
boy!
We did get a bunch of stuff. Not much actual footage. We did get a small look at, obviously, Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. Got a weird voice. He's wearing the costume. He's jumping around. Rumor is Ethan
Hawke?
Ethan Hawke is playing Dracula in the series.
All I know, based on that footage, I think it looks cool because like just judging off his facial expressions and the way he's stuff shot, it like really has like a full sort of thriller, psychotic guy vibe going for it. So, like based on the very little footage that's shown, I think it looked cool. I mean, I like Poe Dameron anyway. Oh, fucking Oscar. Fucking hell.
Yep. Then we also got a first look at She-Hulk, obviously played by Tatiana Maslany. Okay. Again, not much there. We get a glimpse at Hulk. Obviously, Bruce Banner is going to be involved in some regard. Like, Smart Hulk. The one from Endgame. Not in the cast. So, you know. So, is this after the events of another film?
Before Shang-Chi.
But his arm's healed.
Oh, but maybe it's before it got broke. Maybe it gets broken in this.
His arm was broke from when he snapped.
Oh, right. That's a good point. Yeah.
So
it must be after. Yeah.
Maybe.
It must be after.
Yeah. I don't think we get like a full look at She-Hulk, right? We just get like a...
You see her legs.
Sounds weirder than it probably...
I mean, it probably sounds weirder, but I mean, you see green legs.
But yeah, that's coming. I do love the meme. Someone joked online, they obviously changed the logo. So it's like She-Hulk, and it looks like a lion. So people are going, making pronoun jokes. Very funny. We got a little bit more look at Ms. Marvel. Looks pretty much the same as the last time we had a look at it.
Looks cool.
Looks cool. Disappointed it didn't come out this year, but I guess early next year probably after. I would expect that's the first thing we see next year. Then we got a small glimpse at Secret Invasion. We got a big bearded Nick Fury.
I was going to say one shot of Nick Fury.
One shot of Nick Fury.
We've got a sneak peek of Secret Invasion. It's literally one shot of Nick Fury, like turning towards the camera.
I mean, when you compare it to the other ones, obviously, you know, they showed a title card for Echo, Ironheart, Armor Wars, but then they showed a title card for Agatha, House of Harkness. So obviously, they're bringing back Catherine Hahn to reprise the role of Agatha. Smart. Obviously,
I wonder if this is
character...
reactionary. Do you reckon it's reactionary?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, maybe not reactionary in the sense that they saw the good press and they're like, yeah, let's do that. But even probably, like, on set, they're like, fuck, Catherine Hahn's brilliant. We should, like, get her for more stuff. I think they definitely knew what they had. You know? But, is she going to be as fun when she's not in, like, the TV sitcom setting? Probably.
Yeah. Just fine once the secret was blown.
That's true. Yeah, this could be anything and everything, so who knows. They're going to do a Marvel Zombies animated series.
Which seems weird, but yep.
I mean, you could just fill in the gaps, I guess.
Why waste the time doing a what if episode on it? Unless this is expanding on it and is connected to that one episode, at which point,
It could
okay,
be.
but I'm like, if you're going to do it as its own show, why bother just doing a one shot in What If? You could have done a different story. It seems like a wasted slot for What If.
Maybe, but they just redo stories all the time, so.
Yeah, what, a year apart? Come on.
Yeah.
So as if it's connected, like if it's continuation of the What If story of zombies in some way, then fine. But otherwise, I'm like, this is a bit weird.
Yep. Also, they confirmed second season of What If is coming, so that's good. Also confirmed Loki season 2, which we already knew. We're getting a new animated series featuring Spider-Man freshman year. Apparently, it's set in the MCU in the early days of Spider-Man. But it seems to be like the art style that they showed in the trailer is like very 1960s-esque Peter Parker, like yellow vest and that kind of stuff. Doesn't really scream Tom Holland prior to Civil War, which is when I assume this would be set.
Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't know. Looks weird.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to like see that see that version of Spider-Man, like the hoodie homemade suit Spider-Man, I guess, for a large portion. But it's kind of weird. You've got Ned, and you would assume you'd have Ned and Aunt May in it, but they don't know the secret, and they never will learn the secret in the series. And that kind of stuff. Yeah. Are you going to like
no MJ relationship?
Yeah, obviously MJ is not going to be just going to be the weird outsider still. And then will they show Uncle Ben in this animated series?
I highly doubt that. You're going to see 3 different generations of Uncle Ben in the next movie.
Yeah.
Yep. They all say their own version of but great power comes with great responsibility at the same time.
Yeah. When you have power and you can't do that. You've got whatever Tom Holland's weird workaround was in the Civil War. But yeah, I mean, every generation gets the Spider-Man animated series, so why not? I think there's probably been more Spider-Man animated series than probably any animated property ever at this point. I'm just going to throw that out there with no clarification. Then we got, oh man, X-Men 97, which is going to be a revival of the X-Men animated series, coming to Disney Plus sometime next year, I think, is what I heard. Dylan, are you a big animated series fan? X-Men?
Yeah, but I haven't watched this since I was like 12.
It's coming 2023, sorry. Yeah.
I have no idea if it... I saw you tweet the other day that doesn't hold up well. I haven't watched it for like 10 plus years, so I loved it when I was young. I used to watch it all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, I bought like the DVD of like the first half of season 1. It's like, oof. It's a rough watch. It's like not very well written and that kind of stuff, a lot of that, obviously, 90s kind of stuff, but maybe it was the later episodes that got good and like when they actually delved into like prominent storylines and that kind of stuff. Yeah, a lot of people asking a lot of cool questions about when it's actually going to be set and stuff. Are they going to include season 5, which apparently was done by another company and done like super cheap, and like apparently Professor X like retires and leaves the X-Men in the care of Magneto, who's been reformed. Would they pick up from that kind of point and that kind of stuff? So, and then what kind of stories from the X-Men canon will they add? Will they include the like same costumes? Obviously, they announced that a bunch of cast members will be returning, but then again, a lot of cast members have actually passed away since the series has been finished. So yeah, it's an interesting project. That's sure to like get a lot of interest, and like, you know, maybe we have to go back and watch the animated series and lead up to it. Who knows? That's pretty much everything on the X-Men. Well, it's interesting they're actually doing something with X-Men for a start.
This is Disney's first.
It's the first thing they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we bought Marvel for $1 gazillion, bought 20th Century Fox for $1 gazillion, just so they can make an extra season of X-Men the Animated Series. Money well spent.
Big fan up there.
Big fans. All right. We also got some more Disney animation stuff. So they gave us a bit more of a trailer for Baymax, which is a new series coming to Disney Plus. I think it's going to be like a series of shorts. I'm not 100% sure. But it's pretty much like Baymax helping people out. You know, heroes aren't yet sick. He just has to help out at the coffee shop. There's a long sequence of him trying to put a coffee cup lid on a coffee cup. And
I would like to watch this.
It's very realistic.
I like Baymax. I like
Baymax
Big
is
Hero
great.
6,
You know,
so.
Big Hero 6 kind of like an overlooked film. But yeah, that's coming out. You'll see Baymax soon. Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild is a property that's coming.
Crazy.
They showed a bunch of cast members from Willow, the movie that they're doing the sequel to, the 1988 fantasy film. They showed a clip from Beatles Get Back, which is starting next week, I think.
I think it started. Oh, they do it. Yeah, I think it's this week. Yeah.
Oh, this week, yeah. So it's exciting. They showed Will Smith, the actor, his documentary series, Welcome to Earth. The Proud Family is getting a movie, an animated series revival. Chris Hemsworth is in Limitless, which is not based on the brilliant...
Thank God!
brilliant series that started with Bradley Cooper and had an excellent TV show that came afterwards. But is about trying to transform himself by training for 6 extraordinary challenges. Then they dropped a trailer for Sneakerella, which is a Disney original film, which is a hip-hop musical take on the classic Cinderella fairy tale, in which it focuses on a guy who's like he works at a shoe shop, but he really loves sneakers. So he designs these really cool sneakers. He goes to this big event where he meets the daughter of like a big sneaker guy, and then he has to go home for curfew, and then he leaves one of his sneakers behind. It's good. No, it looks bad. It looks so dumb. But yeah, that's coming to Disney Plus.
Thank God.
They also announced a bunch of other stuff. Cheap But Dozen, a third iteration of that franchise is coming to Disney Plus, starring Gabrielle Union and Zach Braff. Written by Kenya Barris, I believe, from Blackish fame. Disenchanted, the sequel to Enchanted, is coming, starring Amy Adams and Patrick Dempsey. And Enchanted came to Disney Plus this week, for Disney Plus Day, so I've never seen that film, so I have no feelings. Obviously, we've got Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, starring John Mulaney and Andy Samberg. That's coming. Cars on the Road. We've got like a small sneak peek, like concept art at this new series in which Lightning McQueen and Mater are going to be doing cross-country trip. That's, you know, if you love cars...
I'm not a Cars fan, so this does nothing for me.
If you have kids that love to buy cars, you're going to be buying more cars. Pixar showed a little bit more of Win or Lose, their new animated series about a co-ed softball team vying for a championship, in which each episode focuses on a different person in the lead up to the week up to the big game. I think it's a really cool pitch. Like, they've got interesting ideas. It's like going to be interesting how it actually comes together. So that's something I'm actually looking forward to. We got apparently they're adapting the Spiderwick Chronicles into a new TV series. Hocus Pocus 2 is coming, and they're doing a Tiana TV series, which is a spin-off to Princess and the Frog. Then
That looks cool, actually.
I've never seen the Princess and the Frog, so it's like
I've got you on one.
Yeah, the one thing you've watched that I have not. Yeah, that's cool. And then on the Disney Star front, the big announcement was the Predator prequel that they've had in the works, which was rumored to be called Skulls, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, has been revealed to be called Prey, and it's set 300 years before the events of Predator, and is focused on like a Native American dealing with a predator showing up. This seems like a cool idea. If they can pull it off. I like Dan Trachtenberg, so yeah. You didn't like the last Predator movie, so
oh yeah, no, I did that, did I? I completely forgot. I was looking up Kamashi Nation.
Yeah.
So this has a lot of potential, but it also is just like this could go bad easy. You know what I mean? Like it's just like as long as it's I guess you're making a decision when you're saying I'm gonna have it star like Native American tribe, and like that's what we're doing, you know what I mean? Like that's a certain direction to go. So it'd be very easy to be like turn it to something that's sort of dumb and offensive, but if done right, it could be really cool. I'd love to see, the predator getting hunted. That would be awesome. Swing the tables here. Stars are like the main characters are female, so which is a bit different to your typical macho guy stuff that you have in all these Predator movies. So that's kind of cool. And she can. I'm just double checking. I'm not talking about ass here because I actually haven't looked up. I'm pretty sure I know who this girl is.
Yeah, Amber Mid-Thunder. She's from Hell or High Water, The Marksman, and Legion. Yeah,
like she can fight to a degree. I think she's done like a bit of stuff. So that should be right. Yeah, I'm keen. I mean, I too like Dan Trachtenberg. How do you say that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've hope for this. I just thought it was interesting when they were like, "This is the direction." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it's like I guess be interested to see how far they go with the actual gimmick. Like, are they gonna speak in Native American? You know what I mean?
Probably not.
I guess we'll see. So that's kind of all the news from Disney Plus Day. Do you think we'll? Do you think we'll get like another big press announcement of stuff they've got in the works, or do you think they've kind of shot their load for? Obviously, we had the big Investors Day last year. I assume the big Investors Day is coming up again soon.
Yeah, I don't remember when that was.
Pretty sure it was like December sometime. From memory, I think it happened at the same time as like the Game Awards or something. There was definitely something going on at the exact same time.
It was 10th of December last year, so I'm going to say then yes, the same thing will happen this year. So that's when we'll get our trailers and shit. Which is weird because I just feel like there was a lot to talk about last year. They showed a lot and announced a lot. And I didn't mind the way they did it, where they pretty much switched the stream off and on for public and actual investors and whatever else. It was kind of cool, but also it just feels weird to announce a bunch of cool trailers at something that's a Investors Day. Like it's here's the most corporate event ever to announce trailers and stuff like it. It's not like, you're like a little bit of the veil between the corporate side of your fun Star Wars and Marvel TV shows. So
yeah. I guess it makes the dumb numbers more enjoyable to sit through if you know there's going to be cool trailers and stuff. But yeah, that's all on the Disney front. This is kind of an interesting story I've seen doing the rounds. Obviously, we talked, I think it was the last episode, about being the Ricardos, the Lucille Ball movie starring Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem, written by Aaron Sorkin. Apparently, there's been a lot of backlash against Nicole Kidman being cast. They released another trailer in which she, again, does not look exactly like Lucille Ball. A lot of people were pushing for Deborah Messing to be cast. And there were a lot of comments after, again, saying Deborah Messing shouldn't be cast, because apparently in the Will and Grace series, they did like a Lucille Ball tribute or something, and she apparently would look spot on, like she was a great lookalike. Of course, the movie is now being seen by press, or at least SAG, I believe, over in America. And, you know, the praise is already in for the Nicole Kidman. She's great in the role. She's apparently going to be, they reckon, you know, she's going to be up there in the award season, that kind of stuff. You know, so my question is, how much does, if you're portraying a real person, how important is your likeness to that?
It's only important if the person has a distinguishing feature in which that was a big and prominent thing about the way they were talked about in the public eye or something. So a scar or like massive ears, you know what I mean? Like something that's like,
even that you can get away with prosthetics and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like just
I mean,
the prosthetics.
think about it. We all know, obviously, they've got that Pamela Anderson, Tommy Lee movie that's coming out. Lily James is playing Pamela Anderson. Someone you would absolutely not expect to play Pamela Anderson.
No, and they look really, that photo
looked great.
Look great. Yeah, you don't need to look anything like the person you're playing. Like the makeup department does their job to make you look as close to, but otherwise you should be hired on the acting skills, not your lookalike skills. And then go from there.
Yeah, this is just kind of an odd story and like kind of a weird part of the industry where people just want people to look exactly like
people only also care
characters
about this when it's people they know. No one was ever getting up in arms about his Aaron Sorkin's last film. When if you look up what those people look like in real life, the whole cast of that movie, no one in it really looks like them. Like Sacha Baron Cohen does like the afro or what, you know, like whatever. Like he does the hair. They try to make it work, but they don't look anything alike. None of those characters do.
No, absolutely, and you know,
people do. They're characters.
Yeah, I mean,
the real life people to the characters.
Yeah, you know, we have to like kind of trust these casting directors. They know what they're doing. It's like they just luck into these things all the time. Like it's the same thing with like all the Marvel movies. Like that person who does the casting on those films is like pretty fantastic track record. It's like how many people can you say were miscast in those films? Not many. They might not have done a fantastic job when they actually were cast, you know, and there might have been other issues that like affected their performances and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting thing. Like again, like even like Kristen Stewart playing Princess Diana, she doesn't look like Princess Diana. So, you know, the sooner we get past people need to look exactly like the characters or people, the better, because then we can stop having that discourse on Twitter and we can all move on and argue about something else. So yeah, I thought I'd just bring that up. Speaking of Aaron Sorkin, he's obviously doing a bit of press with being the Ricardos, and he confirms he has interest in doing a Social Network sequel. Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, the Oscar-winning screenwriter had this to say about the potential follow-up to David Fincher's acclaimed Facebook drama. Well, I don't want to make news here. I think what has been going on with Facebook these last few years is a story very worth telling, and there is a way to tell it as a follow-up to The Social Network, and that's as much as I know. Obviously, he said in the past if he was ever to do a sequel, it would have to be with David Fincher. He wouldn't want to direct it himself. Of course, Jesse Eisenberg has expressed interest in returning as the role as Mark Zuckerberg. Dylan, would you want a Social Network sequel?
Sure. Why not? I mean, there is enough going on there. It's always weird to do movies based on events that are so close.
Ongoing,
but, yeah. But I mean, in retrospect, it's like Social Network was kind of close to, like, in the realm of what's close to history. it was shortly after Facebook sort of bloomed, so I guess it's fine. Like I didn't love Social Network. I didn't think it was the best movie of the year, but it's certainly a good movie. So, and I really like David Fincher, so why not?
Yeah, anything from those three people is like, yes, please. But yeah, I think obviously if Aaron Sorkin has like a story that he's got in mind to tell, Facebook has got a lot of stuff that they could talk about. I would love to have like 10 minutes of just Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg smoking stuff, because we all know Mark Zuckerberg loves his smoker. And him trying to explain to people the metaverse. There's all this stuff that's rife for like interesting scenes and that kind of stuff. So yeah, if we project that out into the world some more, maybe it will actually happen. So yeah, that's all the film news for this week. Let's give some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the links to the trailers that we're about to discuss in the show notes of the podcast app that you're currently using, or on YouTube if you're watching it there. So yeah, let's jump right in with some trailers. First up, we've got Swan Song, directed by Benjamin Cleary, starring Mahershala Ali, Naomi Harris, Awkwafina, Glenn Close, and Adam Beach. A loving husband and father diagnosed with a terminal illness is presented with an alternative solution by his doctor to shield his family from grief. The solution? Clones. Dylan, what do you think of the Swan Song trailer?
It's the plot of a Black Mirror episode, I'm pretty sure, but that's all I could think about. But looks really good. I mean, you get to watch two Mahershala Ali's acting, so I guess it wins awards because he's already got a high chance by himself, so now it's just times two. And then the rest of the cast is really good too. So
he gets a lead and a supporting.
Lead and supporting Emmy nomination coming for him. So just, way to stack your bets a bit for yourself. It's very good. Good job. But yeah, the rest of the cast looks really good. The one thing is like the trailer just shows the premise, but the majority of the show is going to be a lot of these like dramatic scenes and conversations between the family and stuff. But the show doesn't actually. The trailer didn't really show any of that, which is all right because I'll watch it. I'd like to watch it. Looks good. So double up.
I was give it a double up. I think they sell the premise really well, but then also like leave enough room for you like to fill in the gaps of what the potential story could be. Is it just him dealing with this idea by himself? Because the whole idea is like he cloned himself. The clone takes over for him while he dies peacefully elsewhere, away from his family, and they never have to know. It's like, what are the moralities of that and that kind of stuff? A whole bunch of interesting questions. Glenn Close looks great. Mahershala Ali is like fantastic. Yeah, I'm really keen for this one. So this one is coming to Apple TV on December 17th. So not far away. So next up, we've got Silent Night, directed by Camille Griffin, starring Keira Knight, Matthew Good, Roman Griffin Davis, Annabelle Wallace, Lily Rose Depp, Sophie Dirisu, Kirby Hal-Baptiste, Lucy Punch, and Rufus Jones. A couple invite their closest friends to join their family for a Christmas dinner at their idyllic home in the English countryside. As the group comes together, it feels like old times. But behind all the laughter and merriment, something isn't quite right. The world outside is facing impending doom, and no amount of gifts, games, or wine can make mankind's imminent destruction go away. Surviving the holidays just got a lot more complicated. I like the premise. I think as a trailer, this doesn't really work. If your accolades are spoiling the twist of the film, it's probably not a good trailer. It's like, yes, this is a dark comedy. Yeah, this is a doomsday movie. Apocalyptic. It's like, let the actual footage from the movie tell that, not your accolades. So this is a 1 up, 1 down from me. Dylan, what do you think?
I liked it. I mean, I'm confused. Like, I'm just wondering, like, because I don't know if it was supposed to be a secret. Like, I guess, like, you're supposed to go in. It's not like supposed to be a twist or anything.
No, but on the trailer, it's like slowly building to reveal that they're gonna die.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was though. I was like, is it zombies? Like, what's the like how silly are we going? And then they're like, nah, it's like very serious. It's just the Earth's coming to an end and then they have that line where Keira Knightley is like, our parents just want you to know, it wasn't our fault, which is quite funny. So, yeah, I'll go one up, one down. I would be keen to watch it. I think the cast is a bunch of people I like, so. And the premise is funny, and I really just hope by the end it just goes straight, not comedy, really ultra serious, and makes everyone feel bad about not looking after the planet better. Like, I hope that's the Merry Christmas, motherfucker. Like,
yeah, I'm looking forward to this second entry in the Keira Knightley End of the World trilogy, potentially. Alright, so this one is currently set to be released in the United States and UK on December 3rd. No release date currently for Australia. Bow. Next up, we've got Back to the Outback. Directed by Claire Knight and Harry Cripps, starring Isla Fisher, Tim Minchin, Eric Bana, Guy Pearce, Miranda Tapsell, Angus Emery, Keith Urban, and Jackie Weaver. Tired of being locked up in a reptile house with humans gawk at them like they're monsters, a group of Australia's deadliest creatures plot a daring escape from their zoo to the outback. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer?
I'm going one up, one down. I think this is bad, but also because it's Australian animals, I'm kind of intrigued. Because I also feel like if this is the sort, like, if Americans or whoever watch this, it's just gonna be like, yeah, see, you're a fucking country full of dead animals, and all you do is talk like bloody Jimmy Dump and you speak
deadly
like
animals.
that. What'd I say?
Dead animals.
Yeah, that too. There's some dead animals and deadly animals, because they're dead because all the deadly animals,
It's got some, yeah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, I'm also like, there's an Australian post office box in the background of a shot here, and I'm like, that's kind of funny for some reason just to see an animated form. So, yeah, I kind of want to watch it because I guess the koala was cute before he turned into a bit of a dick. Like, he was cute for the first 15 seconds. Yeah, I'm going one up, one down, but I think it's double down. But I think I'm going one up, one down.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go one up, one down. Give that the Australia bias rub. Got to give an extra star and a half or whatever. Yeah, it just, it looks kind of bland. Like, the animation style is not super impressive or fun to look at.
No, it looks cheap, but
it's just like it's the plot of Madagascar, but Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hurts even more because obviously Tim Minchin voices the koala, and he was working on a DreamWorks film for a long time, which was an Australian musical called Larrikins, which I think was meant to be focused around some lorikeets or something. That was long in development and obviously eventually got cancelled by DreamWorks. So, like, for him to go from something that could have potentially looked like, How to Train Your Dragon or something to this, it's like a bit of a downgrade. But at least it's coming out, so that's the difference. And it is coming to Netflix December 10th. So, not far away. Alright, next trailer, Station 11, created for TV by Patrick Somerville, starring Mackenzie Davis, Simish Patel, David Wilmot, Nabhan Rizwan, Philippine Velgi, Daniel Zavoto, and Laurie Petty, survivors of a devastating flu attempt to rebuild and reimagine the world anew while holding on to the best of what's been lost. So this is adapted on a 2004 novel of the same name, bestseller award-winning, Arthur C. Clarke award-winning book. They started production on this series filming started January 2020. Of course, got delayed. Filming finished like July 2021. I really liked it, even though it's like super close to home at the moment. Given what we've gone through the last 2 years. I think it looks good. really good trailer, great use of the song. Lots of people that you've seen in like smaller roles that you like and stuff. Like obviously Hamish Patel, Mackenzie Davis, but the little girl, she's from Flora and Ulysses, which was the superhero chipmunk movie from earlier this year. She was great in that, so I'm looking forward to seeing any of this. Yeah, I'm going to give this 2 thumbs up. I think it looks pretty fantastic. Dylan.
Yeah, at first I was like, is this movie just the coronavirus? Like, is that what we're doing? Like, someone's just buying a cart of food and then dude's like, what's that for? It's because of the thing. It's because of the thing. I got my toilet paper. No, toilet paper here. I got to have it. And then as I try to continue, I was like, I have no idea what's going on anymore. This is very confusing. But I guess, is it just like, is there a twist or is it literally just like flu wipes out?
Some deadly version of the flu kills everybody.
Okay.
Or lots of people from the look of it.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. I felt like the trailer just got a bit messy in the middle because I wasn't sure. I was like, what? I got a bit confused. There was just a lot of people and things and whatever else. But I'm still would like to watch it.
It looks like there's a lot of like time jumping and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that was the part that confused me. I was just like, I don't know, is there a sci-fi twist here? I wasn't sure what the go was. So I'm going to go one up, one down.
Patrick Somerville obviously did Maniac, which he wrote on Leftovers. He did Made for Love, which was earlier this year. That kind of stuff. So, and then obviously it's being directed by Hiro Murai, who's obviously best known for his work with Childish Gambino and working on Atlanta here. So, lots of cool additions. So yeah, this one is coming to Stan December 17th. After also being on HBO Max December 16th in America. Final trailer for this week, we've got Moonfall, directed by Roland Emmerich, starring Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, John Bradley, Charlie Plummer, Michael Pena, and Donald Sutherland. A NASA executive, an astronaut, and a conspiracy theorist travel into outer space to stop the moon from crashing into Earth. Dylan, why do you love this trailer?
This seems like a fake trailer that someone's made and not a real movie. Like, this seems like a parody of Roland Emmerich, like someone made based on every other movie he's made and just made the most Roland Emmerich looking thing where, I mean, there's a shot of like tornadoes and shit. There's obviously the White House because there's always going to be the White House. There's bloody floods. Like there's everything he's already done in one movie, but this time it's caused because space aliens actually have a ship inside the moon or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. It was like a Godzilla black cloud monster thing coming out. Nanobots.
You mean the Lost Cloud monster? Yeah.
Fucking Dark Side of the Moon is literally a thing that comes up in the middle of this trailer.
Yeah.
There's a fucking text. No, I feel like I will watch it, yes, because we'll have to. But I'm going double thumbs down because I feel like I lost a couple brain cells watching that, and I can only imagine the damage it'll do watching this, which won't be a 90-minute movie. It'll be like 2.5 hours probably. So, yep. Nice to see John Bradley's doing work up at Game of Thrones, though. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I haven't seen him much. Yeah, this is 2 thumbs down for me as well. I think, I'm like curious about it. I'll probably want to watch it, but I don't think it's going to be good, and it doesn't look very good. Yeah, like you said, it's like the most Roland Emmerich for movie he could potentially do. I admit he's like done other stuff other than disaster movies, but the ones he's most known for, disaster movies, 2012, that kind of stuff. But yeah, this weird. I want to understand why. That's. Maybe I'll be sated by like some Wikipedia post about what is actually in the moon. But then again, maybe I'll have to see the movie. So yeah, 2 thumbs down for me. And that's it. That's all the trailers for this week. What a way to end it. Alright, so it's time, before we finish up, to have our, what do you want to watch? Top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
This week, I thought, coming up to mid-November, it's almost into the year. This week we'll do top 3 movies we want to watch before we do our best of 2021 lists. I think it's pretty straightforward. Dylan, what's your number 3? What's your thought process for this list?
So I just wrote down the 3 movies that came straight to my head as the movies I'd want to watch the most. Right? And then I didn't actually check if one of these will fit into our, like, if it releases prior. Like, I know it comes out this year, but I don't remember if it releases prior to our movie Best of 2021 cutoff.
I think for
it's
the
like very late.
Cutoff is Boxing Day?
So, I don't know. So we should be okay. Either way, I'm just going to go with it because sure, it's fine.
Sure, why not? I mean, here, what do you want to watch? It's calendar years, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's not really. You just. For
people
who are like, why can't you do the full year? Because it just, like, it makes, you have to have a cutoff date. Because how the fuck do you, like, next second is January, and then by the time you do the list, it's mid to end of January, and then people are like, why the fuck do I care anymore? Because I know, I see websites post stuff like end of January, early February, best of 2021. And you know what I say? I don't fucking care. It's 2022. I'm over it.
You should be like, they put the actual work into it. No. That's like a definitive. They must have seen everything if they're putting out this late.
No, they fucked us. Number 3 on my list. Late Nights, Last Night in Soho. It's good, apparently. I don't really know. You've already seen it, so it's a very disappointing list. In fact, 2 of my things on my list are just going to be things you've already seen, so that's fine. But yeah, obviously Edgar Wright. I want to watch it. I feel like I'm just going to have very boring answers because, yeah, as I said, 2 of my things is things you've seen. Probably guess what they are. So you better give actually better, more interesting answers. But mine are my legit answers. They're just not very exciting because you've literally talked about them.
Yep. My number 3, The Dry, a movie that's been on my list for ages. It's like, it came out like very early in the year.
I think it was the first thing I watched in the cinema this year. I think.
Yeah. Maybe. I think it came out like January 1st, maybe.
Yeah.
Obviously, up for a bunch of actors. One of the highest grossing Australian films of recent memory. Also, like, it's been on Amazon Prime for a while. Just have not got around to it. So hopefully I'll watch The Dry before the end of the year. So at least I can check that off the list.
And you're like, well, maybe I should watch that horrible Home Alone reboot thing that's beginning here. Maybe I should watch that.
Yeah. Listen, it was Love Hard or The Dry this week, and I went with Love Hard. The Catfish Christmas movie. Dylan, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is Dune, a movie that you've seen and talked about on this podcast that I've been waiting for 10 million years. It's still a month away. People at work have already pirated it. Everyone's seen it but me. I feel like I'm very trapped in the past. One day I may watch it. Maybe life will end before I get to see it. At this stage, I do not know, but it's still a movie that I would like to watch with my own eyeballs on a cinema screen sometime in the near future.
Listen, December 2nd is only like 3 weeks away, so it's not that far.
It's forever.
All right. My number 2 is Spider-Man No Way Home. It's been built up. I know all the leaks are online, so half the movie is already available for people to watch. But I would like to see it in the correct order, in the correct frame rate, not photographed by somebody like 20 meters away.
Where do people find this shit? Like, I just don't.
Sony just haven't updated their passwords in a long time.
It's fucking dumb.
The North Koreans have just gave them out to everybody apparently after they did the hack. So very keen for Far From Home. Obviously a Spidey fan, so hopefully it's great. Dylan, what is your number 1?
I feel like the other movies are lower because I'm still excited, but just because they've taken so long and they've been out in America for 10 years and you've seen them and it's just like a lot. So my number 1 is something that no one's seen yet. Licorice Pizza. The latest upcoming Paul Thomas Anderson film
It got moved into eligibility.
It got moved to late December from like wherever. I just can't remember the exact date.
I think it was like February. It came from February.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Boxing Day.
Is it Boxing Day? Okay, yeah, because I remember that it was late December. But yeah, it got a massive leap back, which I was very happy for. Because for a while there, I was like, great, yeah, Americans could watch it like 2 months before us. Fucking woohoo. Good job, team. No one will pirate that. Dumbasses. Yeah, this looks really good. Obviously, the main reason I'm excited to watch it is Paul Thomas Anderson's first film in how long has it been since Phantom?
It's only been a few years, like 4 years.
Phantom Thread released in 2017, so it's been a few years, obviously, and he's been doing some music videos since then, and decides to cast Alana Kane in this as the lead. So, but also, let me just go along this cast. Bradley Cooper looks awesome in this. Maya Rudolph. Skylar Gazondo. I hope you say his name. He's always recently saw him in so I was rewatching because he's been popping up a little bit more and stuff recently, right? I've seen him in a bit more roles. However, I forgot to mention when I was rewatching the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I was like, oh, he's in this. It's like he plays one of Gwen's brothers, and I recognized him in the first one.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. But he stuck out, and I was like, oh, I recognize that face. And then I quickly IMDb'd it. I was like, oh, right, okay. Sean Penn's in this. John C. Reilly's in this. Betty Safdie's in this. Come on, get aboard. But yeah, I mean, the main reason is just Paul Thomas. And the plot, everything just looks sort of, I enjoy these throwback sort of period high school or college things, I guess. Which is always good. And it's been a while since it sort of seems like Paul Thomas Anderson sort of looping back towards stuff he was doing more towards the start of his career, I guess, like content, topic wise and whatnot. And then because obviously Boogie Nights was his, not saying Boogie Nights is a college thing, but I mean it's more with younger casts and younger stuff. And then obviously he's gone back. So, but yeah, very keen. First trailer was awesome. Obviously having the son of what the fuck is his actual name? What is the actual son? It's
Cooper Hoffman.
Cooper Hoffman, yeah.
Son of Philip Seymour.
Having Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, Cooper Hoffman, in this film is also really big and cool because obviously Philip Seymour Hoffman worked a fair bit with Paul Thomas Anderson. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. So yeah, all the buzz I've seen around this film so far has been very, very positive. So. Yep. My number one is, again, another film that I just have not gotten around to watching yet. It's The Green Knight. That's the way I kind of went with all of these ones. I mean, Spider-Man's upcoming, but two of them movies I probably should have seen by now, but just have not gotten around to. And saying them on this podcast will probably make me watch some of all these.
I feel like my list would have been more like yours if I still didn't have two of my most anticipated movies of the year unchecked. You know what I mean?
That's true.
If we did a list at the start of the year, I'm pretty sure we both would have been like top 10 most anticipated movies. Probably would have both had Last Night in Soho. Probably
sure
both would have had Dune on it. Yeah. So, and I still haven't checked them all. So they're still just sitting there. Yeah.
They're just sitting there. So, yeah. I guess come back in a few weeks and we'll surely have watched those movies.
I'll have watched one of mine. By next episode, hopefully.
I'm going to come out and say it. Assuming something doesn't happen, we're going to have a Last Night in Soho spoiler cast on the podcast feed. If you stuck around to listen this far,
I checked my cinema times last night, and they still don't have listings up for it. So we'll see how we go.
Ooh, imagine Tasmania not allowed to watch Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
All right. Let us know what your top 3 films that you still need to watch from this year. By going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to the Discord at explosion.com/Discord. You can leave what you want to review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser or tell people about the show. And if you like this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to a Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. You can make a donation for as little as $1. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.